As some professional sports around the world begin to restart, people in the United States are wondering when sports might resume here. The answer to that question isn't as simple as just putting a date on the calendar. Joining me now is the Chief Medical Officer of the LCR Health and a leader in sports medicine, Dr. Rand McClain. Dr. McClain, thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Now, Dr. McClain, if you wouldn't mind giving us just a brief summary of the work you do within sports medicine.
I have a great job. I tell people all the time, I don't really see sick people. I see people that are already in pretty good shape who want to get even better. We focus on optimizing health, if you will, through regenerative and sports medicine.
All right. Now, when it comes to restarting professional sports like the NBA in the U.S. during this pandemic, what's it going to take to get to that point?
I think the most important thing people have to realize is you're going to have to test everybody. And certainly that means everybody in the sport, the players, in other words, but the admin personnel, and then to what degree you want to go beyond that with, for example, staff at a hotel where players are staying. That's going to be essential, particularly in the beginning.
Now, how do you continue to keep players, team, and stadium personnel safe while still playing these games?
Well, that's where it gets tricky, and that's where it has to be well thought out. And beyond that, obviously, there has to be compliance with the rules, whether it's in the bubble they're proposing in Major League Baseball or the locales proposed for NHL, et cetera. You're not going to eliminate all the risk, but you should be able to mitigate it considerably, as we have been able to do across the United States.
And what are some ways to mitigate that risk of spreading within teams while they're playing games?
Well, of course, it depends upon the game, right? I mean, tennis and golf, it's more easy to address than, say, the truly contact sports like NFL, NHL, and the NBA. You're not going to be able to prevent that contact. So the idea is keep players safe from one another by testing frequently and isolating those that become infected. If the measures for the so-called lockdown or the bubble, whatever you want to call it, are maintained, if the players and everyone else is compliant, at some point we've eliminated the virus that came with initial aggregation of the troops, so to speak, and it shouldn't be a problem.
Now, how soon before fans would be able to play at these games? Because I'm assuming right now we're talking about sports without fans.
Yeah, as I believe the president states, we're working on TV sports only right now. The idea of bringing fans in, it's possible it will happen this year, maybe with some of the later sports like the NFL. But until we get more treatments, or certainly a cure would be great, I don't think that people are going to accept the amount of risk that's involved in bringing fans to the stadium, even if we separate them in the early going. Maybe next year, presumably, we will have a vaccine and that can be addressed. But at this point, I think it's going to be for TV only.
Now, is this going to change how we view live professional sports forever? And if so, what's that new normal going to look like?
I don't think there's any indication that this virus is going to be the one that we can't deal with like so many of the others before us. We will find a way to certainly treat and maybe prevent. It may be something that, like the flu, it's going to mutate every year, and we'll come up with a vaccine that will bring down some of the risk or the symptoms. But I don't think this is going to change the face because of the coronavirus itself anyway, this SARS-CoV-2. Going forward, we just have to deal with what we have currently, which is not a whole lot of information. And by next year, the belief is, anyway, in the medical community, we'll have something that will allow us to get back to what we used to call normal.
Thank you, Dr. McClain, for taking the time to speak with us today. We appreciate you.
My pleasure, anytime.
All right. Have a good day and stay safe.